Hello, Dawn Moore at Allegiance Title Company. This is week 3 of a series of videos giving you tips to help ensure a smoother transition to the new closing process mandated by the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. In last week's video, I explained that many lenders are going to require that the closing disclosure, which replaces the HUD-1 settlement statement, be mailed or emailed to the borrower 7 days in advance of the closing. Delivery of the CD by mail or email to the borrower 7 days in advance is proof that the borrower has received the closing disclosure 3 business days before closing, which is required by law. I called this in my video the waiting period. The loan is approved, the CD is delivered, and now we just wait. This waiting period cannot be waived. We cannot close until the waiting period has passed. Understanding this then, I recommend that when you negotiate for repairs to be done under a contract, that you also negotiate that the repairs be completed 7 days before the closing date. That way the buyer can do a walkthrough for repairs, confirm that the repairs are done 7 days in advance, or if they are not done, then we'll still have time to negotiate with the seller any concessions necessary under the contract. If there are concessions, for instance, seller paid closing costs, this will need to show up on the closing disclosure when it is mailed 7 days before closing. If you have to wait until the very last minute to confirm repairs are done, then this may require adjustments to a closing disclosure that has already been delivered to the buyer, and these adjustments may have the effect of requiring a new waiting period. So I highly recommend you do a repair walkthrough 7 days before closing. Another tip I might suggest is that you also get the buyer to enroll in the residential service contract, or as you call it, the home warranty, at least 7 days in advance of closing. That way, the closing disclosure will have the accurate figures for the home warranty on the closing disclosure when it is mailed. This figure can be modified after the initial closing disclosure is delivered, and this change or modification won't require a new waiting period. However, it does require a change. The lender prepares the CD now, so this change request has to go back to the lender for the change to be made. This change can be made and won't require a waiting period, but the change may not happen as quickly as we would like it to do. The next item that goes along with this tip is to be sure that you provide your commission disbursement agreements, or your CDAs, to your title company 7 days in advance. That way, again, when the closing disclosure is delivered, we will have accurate figures on the initial closing disclosure. We can change the closing disclosure for such things as the CDA after the initial closing disclosure is delivered. But again, the change will have to go to the lender will have to change the CD and resend it. There may be just a delay in the fact that it goes to the lender to have that changed. If, on the other hand, the CDA calls for any kind of credit to the buyer, this may have an impact such that the lender will require a new waiting period. So such things that we get at the last minute, like a CDA or a home warranty, these things need to be done in advance, and my recommendation is they be done at least 7 days in advance of closing. This is the 3rd week in this series of tips, and I hope they have proven to be a little bit helpful as you start learning the process. This process begins October 3rd for any loans originated October 3rd. So for closings that occur with loans originated prior to October 3rd, you won't have any change. But for closings that occur with loans originated October 3rd or after, you will experience these changes. I hope these tips are helpful to you. Allegiance Title is your resource for results. Thank you.